Besieged, the Libyan city of Sirte is rapidly closing as a ceasefire is set to expire on Sunday. Meanwhile, there is political deadlock in the capital. In a moment, we will look at how tribal infighting has delayed the appointment of an interim government. But first, let's go to Zaina Hadi in Sirte on a growing humanitarian situation in one of the two remaining areas of conflict in Libya. And Zaina, let's talk about Sirte. How bad is that humanitarian situation there in that city?
Well, the International Committee of the Red Cross managed to enter the besieged city yesterday, and they assessed the situation. According to them, conditions are dire and that people are dying simply because they don't have any basic medical supplies. In fact, we managed to talk to a nurse who works in that hospital inside Sirte. She was escaping with her family this morning, and she said that medical staff couldn't reach the hospital and they couldn't perform any sort of operation because they just didn't have any equipment and the medicine required. In fact, she was with her brother injured by shrapnel because of fighting, and he couldn't receive treatment. Other families, leaving the besieged city the past few days, they about the lack of food, the lack of water, there's no electricity, and they complain about intimidation by Gaddafi's forces. They are preventing them from leaving the city. Yesterday, a family of four were actually killed by rocket fire. They were at a checkpoint trying to leave Sirte and they were killed. So the humanitarian situation is quite dire, but I have to point out that, since the beginning of the conflict began, which is approximately almost 3 weeks ago, the first wave of refugees were opponents of Gaddafi. But now we're seeing a lot of Gaddafi sympathizers actually leaving Sirte, and they don't shy away from that fact. They actually say we are loyal to Gaddafi, and it is because of from the Transitional National Council NATO bombardment. That is why we're leaving the city.
Okay, Zaina, let me ask what seems like a pretty simple question here. Is there any chance, given the dire situation that you're describing there on the ground in Sirte, is there a chance that this 48-hour window could be extended? And let's make it a 72-hour window.
Well, fighters here have always told us the reason why they haven't pushed into Sirte and the other Gaddafi stronghold of Abu Hadi, which is not very far from Sirte city center, is because they're worried about the safety of civilians. Now, they have tried in the past to advance into the city. They've met a lot of resistance. They say that a lot of civilians inside the city are actually armed. These are volunteers who are loyal to Gaddafi. So we don't know when that final push will be, but the city center of Sirte, as well as the neighborhood of Abu Hadi, they are now surrounded. So what the fighters have been able to do really is isolate the pockets of resistance. Now, when they're going to carry out that final push, it's not known, but it was only 48 hours ago when forces from the east and the west managed to actually link up, and they were waiting for those forces to link up before the final push. And now commanders are, discussing the strategy and the way forward. It's very difficult to say when they will do that, but civilians are still trapped inside Sirte and Abu Hadi as well.
Okay, Zaina Hadi for us just outside of Sirte. Zaina, appreciate it.